Behind me on this board are 10 ways on how to get yourself out of poverty in 2024. Do you sometimes feel like, hey, I'm not doing the best that I can, and I would love to get myself out of the situation that I am in right now? Because, hey, I consider myself not so fortunate when it comes to finance. Now, here are the 10 things that I'm going to share with you step by step. And by the way, probably don't love watching longer videos. That this is that video that you ought to watch. Just sacrifice and say, hey, there is a video I watched on 2024 at the date 7 year 2024 at the beginning of this year, and that completely changed my life. All right, this is the video. And by the way, if you'd like to be getting most of my videos each and every time, each and every day actually, because I upload each and every day, make sure that you hit that subscription button down below there. It's quite simple, and by the way, it's free. And also like this video. All right, yeah, exactly. Now let's get to the point. Now, point number one, it has been all about you. What did I say? Yeah, it has been all about you. You being poor or rich, it has to do with you. It is fully about you. Yeah, I know you are like blaming the where you were born. Hey, my parents could have done something about my life. Hey, right now I could have inherited some. Oh, the government, oh, I'm a graduate. I think I could have. Guess what? Personally, as we speak right now, me, yeah, you know me, Joseph. I'm a graduate, and I never got the job when immediately after finishing the campus and what have you. I've never been employed. Hey, where I didn't feel like at the beginning when I got out of the university, I was feeling like, hey, government ought to make the jobs and what have you and all those kind. If you come from Africa, you know what I'm talking about. But if you have this mind shift of, hey, it's because of the government, it's because of where I'm born from, it's because of my parents, it's because of my color, guess what? It's all about you. And by the way, that point goes to the next one about the mind shift. Change the way you think, change the way you perceive things. Hey, don't have you ever met some guy telling you like, hey, in Africa there is no money, there is no. By the way, let me tell you one secret. Even if you go to America, you go to Europe, you go to whatever the places, they usually have their own perception. Hey, I don't think England has money. I think Luxembourg has. I think there is that problem. People usually have it. Maybe saying like, hey, there is no money here, there is money here. Let me tell you one secret. If you can change your mind shift, the way you perceive, view, and the way you approach things, a lot of things will change. And let me tell you one secret. By the way, if there is an advice I used to hate back then, is when somebody tells me to change my mind shift. And I know right now that's what you're feeling about to judge me. Hey, I was expecting for a mechanical answer or this. No. Mind shift plays the very, very, very major role when it comes to you getting yourself out of the situation that you are in. You know one thing, hey, guess what? You can be born from a place where you didn't choose where you can be born from, but you can choose where to retire to. That's a fact. You can say, hey, guess what? Fine. Yeah, fine. It is what it is. Now, this is where I was born. What can I do? What should I do? What are the baby steps should I take so that I get myself out of this situation that I am in? That's for a fact. Let me ask a very simple question. Okay, fine. In Africa, we usually go to the European countries, the Americans and whatever, to borrow the things and then bring them back at home. Let me ask a very simple question. And I want you to answer me on that on the comment section. When they were developing, because there was a time they were in a situation where we were or where we are in, what did they do and where did they go? They never went to Mars, they never went to Jupiter, where did they go? How did they come up with a tram? How did they come up with a streetcar? How did they come up with that bullet train? Where did they come from? It's called a necessity is the mother of invention. When you necessitate something, when you are necessitated to do something, you actually think critically. So you see what happens in Africa, we don't think. Okay, you want tram? You just go to America. You bring those engineers, come on, think. Change your mind shift on how you perceive some things, all right? That's the point number 2. Point number 3, change your town, explore. See, you are born in that funny town, you still live in that funny town, has 2 shops and 1 hotel somewhere. People in that place are very negative oriented. They vibrate negative energy. They tell you it's because of the government. They tell you it's because of the current president. They tell you if we got the other one, maybe things could have been better. These are the same people who think the same, do the same. Their fathers did the same. Their great-grandfathers did the same. Probably your parents are doing the same. You're still in that town. What do you think will happen? You're actually going to get some characters that you're negative energy, this kind of an individual. Have you ever tried to go back in up country? By the way, if you come from Africa, you still relate to what I'm saying. Have you ever tried to go back to where you were born? That up country place, and you're trying to do things differently. Maybe you want to do something. I'm going to give my own self example. There was a time I tried to go back to my home, and I was thinking about maybe coming up with a greenhouse, or maybe I was thinking coming up, planting this vegetable kind of a thing. So we are used to plant the corns or the maize maize and the beans, and these common things. And I was like, come on, this shamba or this piece of land has been planted those things like for the last 40 or 50 years. How about I do things differently? Guess what? People all over the fence talking to me, hey, what are you doing? This can't work. We tried that. It ain't gonna work. You know, your grandfather tried it. Your great-grandfather tried it. By the way, let me tell you, they discourage you all the time because they don't want to disturb their comfort. There is that environment that they are in, and if you actually go ahead and buy that environment, you stay there, you become less creative, you don't even think. Explore, get out of the places. Well, when I say get out of your town, maybe if you're doing something and you're doing good in your town, stay there. That's okay, no problem. But if you know it's not favoring you, get out of the place. Just get out of, just go. And I know you're like, how do I get out myself? I had a friend of mine from, is it Kaduna State or whatever, from Nigeria actually. I don't know better those towns. And they were saying, hey, how do I go to Lagos? I know nobody in Lagos. I know nobody in Abuja. I don't know. You see, failures have a lot of excuses. If you can find a way as a man, and you're a man, you see, if you're a lady, maybe it's a bit arguable, it's a bit understandable. If you're a man, you can even sleep under the floor somewhere where, you can just do anything. And if you guys can afford to actually risk your life crossing the Mediterranean Sea, why wouldn't you risk your life and maybe go to that town and try as much as you can? You know, it is good. You see, let me tell you one secret. I understand that making money has its own grace. It's not purely of hard work. It is true, it's not purely hard work. But you have to place yourself under a situation whereby the luck can actually meet you, where an opportunity can actually meet you. That's a reality. You have to place yourself in a situation whereby, hey, you are in a situation whereby at least whenever the luck passes can actually meet you somewhere. It is true. And I always love to give this example. But let's say you are a lady. You come from a very remote area. And probably because of where you come from, you dropped out from your school. All right? And then after dropping out of your school, whom do you think will attract? You'd still attract a man who will marry you, also from the same community, probably, who dropped out of the school. So both of you are illiterate when it comes to the skills. Maybe when it comes to education, you know nothing about it. So those are the kind of guy you interact with. But if there was another lady from the same locality, managed to actually finish the school, maybe went to a sort of a high school somewhere a little bit far from that place, interacted with a different fresh mind, and then after that, she actually managed to go to university. Then she got into the towns. Who can they attract? A lawyer, an engineer, someone who was actually open-minded and all those kind of things. And then next minute you find yourself in a better place. That's a reality. That's a fact. So the point is, change your locality where you come from, interact with different people so that you can learn something as you grow to the next level. Point number 5, or number 4 rather, be flexible. Don't be rigid. This one I'm talking to the graduates. There are people, okay, you went through the system, you are told that you are an engineer. There are no jobs. Went through the system, you're told you are econ statistics, you are, I don't know, whoever they've told you you are, okay? By them signing a certain degree somewhere, and then they told you now you are that, okay? Now, fine, it's good, it's great, okay? It's good to go to school, I support it. There's nothing wrong with it, okay? But there's a difference between going to school and making money out of what they told you. Now, the point is this, they told you have to be employed for you to make money. If you fix your mind to only that, you don't even flex your mind, you're not even out there, you are rigid, you're going to get yourself into lots of problems. Remember one thing, there is a saying that goes, even only a fool doesn't change his mind. You ought to change your mind. You ought to think differently. You ought to be out there and say, hey, guess what? Hey, remember one thing. Hey, I'm a teacher by profession. Yeah, there are no jobs, or the ones that are available are actually limited. And if they are, then you usually don't get that much. Hey, I'm going to go out there. You hustle like a dropout. You do the things that you don't want, which are available, as you wait for the things that you actually do what you want. That is exactly how you do the things. It does never change, has never changed. If you want to know what I'm talking about, please, if you're watching this video for the first time, you don't know who I am, go to like 2 years ago when I was starting to make this video, and you see how I was, what I was doing, and if you have the brains, you're gonna get motivated. You're gonna get the real things about what I'm saying right here. Another point is that connections and networking, people who you interact with. Maybe this one can echo exactly what I was saying about there, who you interact with, connections. Let me tell you one thing, I have a friend of mine who survived for a long time before getting a job, and immediately after they got the job, the guy has connected like close to 7 guys to job. And the guy was telling me, you know what, when you are out there, you think there are no jobs. When you are in here, you realize there are actually more jobs. The problem is, and that's what's happening not only in Kenya but in Africa. Who do you know? When you go with your application letter, they ask you, who do you know? then what does it mean? You ought to know, have a network of people. You know somebody somewhere whom you can just give them a call, you know, all those kind of things. So have connections, have tangible people. And those guys whom you graduated with, don't lose their contacts at times. Yeah, it's good to have them. You know, you have an engineer somewhere, you have a doctor somewhere, you have a dog, you have a lawyer somewhere, you have, you know, have all those kind of guys. Yeah, you know, in between. You never know. You might need them in one way or the other. The other thing is budgeting and planning. This one does not even need any introduction. You know what I mean by this. You know what I mean by this. No matter how small amount of money that you're having, you ought to budget it. You have to plan about it. Don't just say, hey, I'm having less money. I don't see any importance of budgeting. You know, budgeting's for the wealthy people and all those kind of things. No, come on. You ought to budget that amount of money no matter how small it is. Number two, invest as little as you can. There's this excuse people say, hey, I have to earn a lot of money for me to invest. The moment you, sort of talk about shares or stocks, they're like, hey, that's for the wealthy. No, come on. In Kenya, you can invest with as low even with that 200, 300, 400 Kenyans. That's like $2, $3, $4. You buy yourself some stocks and you invest and you progress to the next level. It's far much better than doing nothing. So don't excuse yourself and say, hey, I have to earn a lot of money for me to invest. Come on, Africans, let's change our mind, okay? Number 8, avoid advices from people who have already failed. This may sound a bit controversial, but it's a reality. If your parents have failed on the financial area, don't take their advices. Respect them. Respect, but don't take. Listen, you see, there's a difference between taking the advices and listening to them. You know, you might so go back then when they're trying to advise you, hey, good Joseph said, no, we should not even listen. No, that's not what I'm saying, okay? What I'm saying is, just listen to them. But you know, at the end of the day, you ain't gonna do that, you know? You get what I'm saying? There's no way you can get an advice from somebody who, they failed. Yeah, I know in Africa we are so emotional to this issue. We don't have to talk about, but it's a fact. It's a fact. It's a reality. It's a reality. You know, it's a reality. So be very careful whom you're taking an advice from. You have to also see whether are they doing something. Are they walking their talk? Do they do something? There's something called the paradox of I forgot the name. There's something called the paradox of something, paradox of action or something. You talk about things that you don't do or something of sort. So it is good to make sure that at least you relate to people, you know, who actually have a substance. You know, they are pushing something. You can see discipline is inside of them. There's something that they push about it, so that at least you can be able to learn something. You may not be able to see like a substantive big thing at the beginning, but as time goes, you can actually realize, hey, there is a change, there is a transformation. That kind of a discipline is what you would like to associate yourself with, so that you grow to the next level. That's a reality. We go to the other thing is that number 9, skills that you can trade. Remember one thing, money is always a product given after solving someone's problem. So if you realize here you come from a poverty area, so you ought to get yourself some skills that you can actually exchange so that you get paid. It's as simple as that. But hey, it's simple, it's easier said than done. Absolutely, I didn't promise it's easier done than said. There's a reality. So you got to get yourself some skills. And I know you're like, okay, fine, where do I get these skills? YouTube is a place where you can get millions of skills that you want. There's some website that you can get some skills that you want. Okay, so it is good to make sure that you amass yourself with skills that you can actually trade them, solve people problems. You know, you can actually do graphic design, web designing, you can do annotations, you can do copywriting, you can do all those kind of things. You can repair some things. We have a very great person who actually motivates us in Kenya called Julius Yego. Was actually a javelin. You know, these guys who throw the javelins, or I don't know what guys you call them. Yeah, this Olympic guy threw some whatever. I hope you get what I'm saying. You know, that guy actually did say that he learned that thing in the YouTube. You know, YouTube, he learned all those kind of things, and one of the greatest, actually I think he's the greatest guy as far as the javelin is concerned in our country. We have no any other bigger individual who has ever come up with such. Yeah, it's true. And he was one time, I don't know, sort of a world record, I stand corrected. He appeared in those places as far as the Olympics are concerned. Okay, so you can actually learn a lot of things when it comes to internet and those kind of things. Okay, now the last one is about financial literacy. This one I've talked about a million times. I ain't gonna stress about it. If you want to learn about things to do with financial literacy, watch my channel, Good Joseph. At all the time I upload videos about investments, about how to manage your money, where and how to invest, and all those kind of things. I believe I have something that I can be able to share with you. There are other financial channels, you can as well be watching them, you know, get some skills, so that at least we say, hey, just like an iron sharpens another iron, so do we learn from each other. For now, it's a goodbye, but don't forget this. If you're out there, you would love to have a conversation with me, my number is always on the description of this specific video. For those services at a personal level, or should I call them the premium services, obviously at a cup of coffee is priced. For now, it's a goodbye. Pick that number, should be a call or a text. We talk business. For now, it's a goodbye. See you in the next time.